Welcome to Eastern High School's Athletics Podcast. Today we join Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham as they recap this past week in Eagle sports. Also sure to entertain, each week we'll hear from an exciting feature Eagle as they discuss the week's upcoming matches and games. And now, here are your hosts, Coach Shep, Coach Graves, and Coach Graham.
Welcome again into the Eastern Athletics Podcast. I'm your host, Athletic Director Joe Schepper, mostly called Shep, I guess. We are presented by our primary and only sponsor at this time. By the way, we're open for other sponsorships if you're interested. East End Plumbing Supply. Once again, make your way over to Waterson Trail, go to East End Plumbing Supply. Help them out with your business. I am joined by my co-host, Dylan Graham, Assistant AD Extraordinaire, PE and Weightlifting. TJ Graves, our baseball coach, and our special guest this week, new head football coach, Ken Whalen. Ken Whalen is here, who also teaches PE here at Eastern. We'll get more to him. He can chime in if he wants to all along the way.
Oh, baby.
There we go. Okay, so recap of the fall or previous week. That's the first thing. Girls and boys basketball districts, not great. Okay, both of those ended quickly. Boys lost to Ballard, girls lost to Ballard. Season's over. Hoping for maybe a better result next year, but nonetheless, we lose some seniors that we appreciated their 4 years of service to Eastern High School basketball, and we move away from basketball. That's the end of winter sports here on Eastern's campus. We now move into spring sports. All right, so
real Eastern sports.
Okay. We also had divers in the state championship. We had two guys finish around, a bunch of them around 10 to 15 in the state. And then the swim team participated in state. Girls finished 6th, boys finished 19th, and as a combined, they were 5th overall. That team is super duper young. That's a whole bunch of sophomores, and I'm pretty sure the boys team is led by an 8th grader who didn't make it, didn't get to go to state.
Ouch.
He had some event and he missed state, and we finished 19th. So anyways, I'll digress over that. Indoor track meet this past weekend down at the Norton again. President's Week invite. Our team's just getting work, so we'll see where we're going next.
Saw online Coach Haran ran the...
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Coach Haran ran a 5-minute and 1 second mile.
That's unbelievable.
He was super pissed it wasn't 2 seconds quicker, because 2 seconds quicker would have been a 4-minute mile for a dude his age. That's pretty good.
I can't ride a bike in 5 minutes.
He's getting all these, he's got all these tweets that say lead from the front. He's really making a lot of other coaches look bad, to be honest. That's really all he's doing. He's not making anybody look good doing that. Yeah. I can pick up a lot of trash and walk a lot of laps around campus, but I ain't running no 5:01 mile. I'll tell you that right now.
I'd love to see some of our coaches run a mile.
Maybe we should do that. We should have a coach's. We could have a coach's combine.
The golf coach running a mile.
That would be an electric e-news video.
Electric e-news, yeah. Hey, the e-news people over there, they need to do a coach's combine. See which coach or which teacher runs the quickest mile and which. I'll abstain. All right, so
that's not KHSAA sponsored? If the coach is running,
I will tell you this. Okay, here's a story.
Bat?
No, I got a story.
Am I allowed
Last year, Fern Creek had a track meet. Okay, and in the track meet they had a relay. 2 years ago. Sorry, 2 years ago.
Is this the Todd?
Yes, they had a relay, and it was a coach's relay. I think it was a 4x100 relay, and Todd Raines, another assistant AD here, was one of the legs, because all these other people turned it down. Obviously, I think Haran and somebody else did it or whatever. So the baton's getting passed around, and Todd's just trying to be a part of it and help him out or whatever. But he said that as he saw the other team right close to Eastern, he said the competitive juices started flowing. So Todd tried to take off and win the meet for Eastern. He blew 2 hamstrings, fell, and broke his collarbone. so he was out for a month.
That's great.
So
can't teach.
So maybe we shouldn't do the combines.
That's a joy, another man's misery. I'll tell you what.
All right. So next week's events: indoor track state meet on Saturday, 3-4. That's 2 weeks away. We're actually kind of in the dead week here between the two seasons that would have been filled nicely by a regional basketball run, but nonetheless is empty. So. Spring sports are completely underway. I spent about an hour and a half out there at the baseball field watching live at-bats yesterday. I'm pretty excited about that. Baseball scrimmages start 3-7, so we got 2 weeks till that. We got Bullitt East and then 3-8 Bullitt Central. That baseball team returns 8 of their 10 top hitters from last year and 4 of their 5 top pitchers from last year. Softball will get started on 3/10, March 10th. They return 8 of 10 top hitters and all of their top 6 for that matter. Then they return all of their 4 pitchers as well as their best pitcher. Track starts on 3/16, girls lacrosse on 3/7. Boys lacrosse is going to Nashville next weekend on 3/3, and tennis starts on 3/21. So we'll get into spring soon. I think next week we're going to do a full spring preview and go through each team, kind of an in-depth thing, and maybe get a couple coaches on for that. But that brings us to our topic of the day, which is our guest, new head football coach, returning head football coach, and PE teacher extraordinaire, Ken Whalen. Ken Whalen, little background.
We need a sound bite.
We need a sound bite.
Can the producers put in
Welcome back to the Eastern
clapping.
football community and as our head coach. You want to give us a little background on you?
Sure. Born and raised in Rochester, New York, where I've coached football there. Coached football also as a head football coach in Charlotte, North Carolina at a middle school called Randolph Middle School. Been in Louisville since '98. My first 2 years I coached at Trinity, then came to Eastern, head coach at Eastern from 2004 to 2011. Left Eastern, went 3 years at St. X, came back to Eastern, took a couple years off, and here I am.
Sweet. Well, I got some of that in our deep dive research. What you got for us, Graham?
What do I have for you?
Oh, hold on. No, we'll do this one real quick. So he was here for 8 years, 2004 to 2011. His record in those 8 years, 47-43, which I didn't do. I tried to do deep dive research, but I don't think anyone else has a tenure over 500 in Eastern football history. So that makes him the longest and most successful coach in Eastern high school because I can't really get back to the 60s and Emmett Garnflow and all that stuff because it's not on the internet. He was a regional champion in 08 and 11, and he was 2008 6A Courier Journal Coach of the Year.
The kids say put some respect on his name.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
He's got credibility, I'll tell you that much. He's got credibility. What else you got, Graham?
Well, I have stats on our games, our new schedule for this year.
Oh,
You guys wanna hear
yeah.
about the new
Let's
schedule?
go into that for sure.
Rock and roll.
All right, so we are going to open up the season with Tate's Creek, who was 5-7 last year. Follow that up by playing Butler, who we beat in a scrimmage last year. They finished last year 2-9. We will get another crack at Fairdale. We've traded wins and losses the last 2 years with them. They were really good last year, finished 11-2 and beat us. Then we go to Manual, who went 9-3 and lost to the eventual champs at Bullitt East. Then
Did you see that game? That was a crazy game.
It was one of the wildest
It was like
games I've ever seen.
and there were crazy games in 6A last year galore, like Mal and Ballard. That was crazy. And then the championship was even crazy. But that Mayo or Manual versus Bullitt East game was bonkers. There was like laterals, and there was a big dude touchdown, and then it looked like Manual was going to win, and then Bullitt East pulled it out, and then Bullitt East won state. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So then we head off to Fern Creek, who went 4-7 last year, lost to Butler. Then we move on to Bullitt Central, who went 5-6 last year. Not sure why the stat is relevant, but they did lose 50-0 against Seneca. So that's
Fern Creek did?
No, Bullitt Central.
Oh, Bullitt Central.
Bullitt Central.
Yeah.
So
Put your phone down and pay attention.
No, I'm literally reading our notes. I put some work into it. Go ahead. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, Dylan.
all right, Oldham County. We go to Oldham County next, who went 0-10
Oh,
last
Oldham
year.
County is a new add to the district. They are now officially in our district.
Yep.
And they went what last year?
0-10, which means they'll have a new head coach this year. Then we go to Trinity, who was 8-5 last year, lost to Ballard in the playoffs. Then
No, they lost to Bryan Central. Bryan
they
Station.
lost to Ballard in the regular season.
Correct. And they
Lost
lost
to-
to Bryan Station in the playoffs.
There we go. Then Ballard, who went 11-3 and lost to Mail in the state semifinals.
Another bonkers game. That was the one where they tried to do the quarterback sneak and the ball rolled
Yeah,
out and Mail
fumbled.
scored.
Mail scored.
Yeah.
That was an absurd
Yeah.
game.
Absolutely absurd. And then we finished the year against Dunbar, who went 6-6 last year, and the only similar team we played was Oldham County, who they beat 48-34.
Okay. So schedule all tied together. We got 6 new teams this year, and the return of Manuel. I don't know how long it's been since we played Manuel. Does anybody know?
We played him when Coach Blanford was here.
Okay, so it's been a little bit since
2
we played
years.
Blanford, so 2 or 3, or the last, was it the last cycle?
Last cycle, correct.
Okay, so we skipped them for a cycle, and we don't have, very auspiciously omitted would be Christian Academy. We do not have Christian Academy on the schedule for this season. So we replaced Christian Academy with Manual, so that'll be an interesting little change for us. Homecoming on 9/29 versus Bullitt Central. I'm guessing that's homecoming. It's the latest home game. I mean, I'm sure whatever sponsor could change that on me or whatever. So any other takes on the schedule, anyone?
No.
We're playing a lot bigger schools this year as a whole.
Is Dunbar
We got rid of
6A?
all the small
Yeah.
schools.
Dunbar
Everybody
6A?
on there is 6A except for Bullitt Central's 5 and Fairdale is 3 or 4A.
So
Five
in
A.
football, you can play 2A, 3A, doesn't matter, as long as you just play your district games. Other than that, you can play whoever you want.
Correct.
Interesting.
And this, just so we're all sure, you all know this, but that schedule will be flipped on the next year. So it's a 2-year cycle. It'll be the exact same schedule. There is one other noteworthy thing with football this year. That Oldham County game falls on a full fall break week for JCPS, which we haven't had a full fall break in some time. So we will be playing that on Friday, but we will not be in school that whole week.
And that's a home game.
It's a home game the first year. The second year it'll be at Oldham County. But yeah, so opener, and then that means next year not this year, but next year we'll open it on the road in Lexington at Tate's Creek. All right, so Graves, what do you got for questions for the
Coach,
guest of the day?
Yeah,
Coach
well,
Whalen?
I had a couple questions. First, you, as before mentioned, you led us in 2011, and we would say at our height, you led us. With your perspective of then and now, what is different about our culture, our style, and what do we have to do to get back to where you had it in 2011? So what's different now? How do we get there? How do we get back, I should say?
First thing you notice is the amount of players you have on your team. 2011 being my last year, when I left, we had 144 people in the program. This year we have, I believe, 26 kids working out right now. Now, that doesn't include the kids playing spring sports. So,
That's absolutely unbelievable. 140 to 25. It's unbelievable.
Big difference.
Yeah.
you do need as a coach, you would know, you need the competition to make kids better. When you have 30 to 35, everybody knows who's starting, who isn't, and sometimes that puts an onus on not really giving you 100% all the time. Puts a little, I can take a day off type of deal. So my number one priority to get back there is get more people in the program.
Get the roster up.
Get the roster up, try to
Create
get more.
competition.
Back then, we had more kids playing multiple sports than
Yeah.
we do now.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids playing single sports. Need to talk to them about trying to get out there, and just sometimes it's not even your ability; it's the leadership, how you are in the locker room, and getting through different aspects of the sport, doing things the right way, and being a leader in that fashion.
What is your style of football? What can our listeners expect out of Eastern football?
Well, one thing that I've seen, and going back to 2011, I've coached prior from 2000 to 2011, so I know those kids. I knew them from PE class. I knew them coming through the program. I don't know these kids as well, so I got to get to know these kids. But my style our style is going to be, we're not going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're going to have to move so that we're at angles. So I believe in you can't block, you can't tackle what you can't catch. So hopefully we'll be quick and be able to move, get some blocking angles, use some misdirection plays, use some, I hate the term RPOs, but, some maybe RPOs down the road. We'll see.
Yeah. I had multiple people email the show on our email address.
I'm sure you did.
We haven't even shared that email address. How do they know the email address?
They
His
email me.
private
Yeah.
email address.
Listen. The number one question that people are asking, You ready for this?
I think so.
Are we going to kick a field goal next year?
I promise you, we'll have a kicker, punter, snapper.
Let's go!
So an extra point will be.
Let's go.
We'll see if we can make them. But
Let's go.
make
All
them.
right.
Yeah.
That's Coach. I'm fired up to see
So
it.
let all those people know to email them all back and tell them we'll have a
Okay.
kicker.
Middletown hasn't seen an extra point in
Yeah.
a little while.
If they come to watch kickers, they'll be
Let's go.
fulfilled when they
Is that your
leave.
final question there?
Well, I did have another one. Where did you meet your wife? A little birdie said you were a bouncer at Bathtub Billy's
This is true.
in Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about the establishment Bathtub Billy's?
Yeah, it's a sports bar.
Is there a bathtub
that
in
funny?
Bathtub Billy's?
No, it's just there's a dude. Well, a dude sitting in the bathtub with all his sports equipment in it.
Sounds like a wonderful.
He actually kind of looked like Coach Gray. A little bit.
That's a good
Resembled him a
looking-
little bit.
That's
Yeah.
it. So that's where you fell in love.
Well,
Was Bathtub Billy's?
yeah. Now I don't know if we fell in love there, but her cousins were twins. There were waitresses there, and they were hot. So she said, "Would you like to be my cousin?" I was like, "Heck yeah!" So that's how she walked in, and there we go.
Yeah, I
Rock and
hear
roll.
you.
Back in the good old days. Does that answer your question, Coach?
Yes.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
And here we are.
I love it. I love it.
Coach Graham, could you please take over?
I would love to take over.
Oh, awesome.
We're going to stay on the theme of bathrooms, and now we're going to talk about your shower habits.
My shower habit.
your-
I didn't
your
know I had any, but go
Your
ahead.
shower habits. Another birdie told us that you have a favorite song to sing in the shower. Would you like to share
That's
with
not
everyone
true.
what that is?
That's not true. I have about 6 to 8 of them. It depends what kind of mood I am. I do a little Meatloaf, some Neil Diamond. Then
What
Uncle
kind of
Cracker.
What kind of mood? What kind of mood do you have to be in to be singing Johnny Cash?
Oh, my fave. I don't have to be in any kind of mood. That just comes to me. As soon as I turn that shower on, baby, that water hits the ground. Yep, it's time to go. Ring of fire. Uh-huh.
All right, that brings us to the last segment, which is the Mount Rushmore segment.
Ooh.
So this week's Mount Rushmore is going to be a Mount Rushmore of signs that it's spring on campus at Eastern High School. So what are the signs of spring on campus at Eastern High School?
I would like to go first.
Okay, Graves would like to go first.
The signs
Shocker.
of spring at Eastern is the sounds of rocks hitting the football bleachers from
Todd
mowers, that are, and the PE classes dipping, dodging, diving, rocks, shrapnel coming at us from the people mowing grass.
You can say my name.
Dylan Graham.
If you're gonna do that, you might as well at me.
Dylan Graham.
What's his nickname?
Grinder.
The Grind.
What do you got next?
I would say bucket hat season. You compare us to any other school in the state of Kentucky, we have to have the most adult men wearing bucket hats across the entire bluegrass. It's not even close. Big bucket hat school.
It is a big bucket hat school. I've seen Graves wear 3 different bucket hats this week alone.
I am bald, so I wear bucket hats.
Whalen's a big bucket hat guy, too.
Love him. Good for your ears.
All right, so my sign of spring on campus, unless you want to go first.
Well, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
When I think of Mount Rushmore, I think of 4. So I have 4 for you if you don't mind.
Oh,
I was going to just
Got
hammer it
4.
all
Go
out.
ahead.
Okay. Number 1, spring football.
let's go.
Gets the blood boiling. You
go.
know what I mean? Number 2, equipment from spring sports strewn all over the campus. It's awesome.
Lacrosse balls. Can we get the lacrosse coach in and tell him to pick
I finish,
up?
please?
Sorry, I apologize. You're right. I'm sorry.
Number 3, the varsity football field being tore up from people practicing on it.
Lacrosse.
Spring.
That was my honorable mention. It's just the dead spots from lacrosse goalies.
And number 4, and this is kind of a weird one, but I just noticed this today. The nicest throne on this campus is on the service road. I don't know if that's right or not.
What is that?
That's the band's
It's a
prop.
throw.
for
It's
their
been there for
performance.
8 months.
I know. He said he's
What
trying to sell it.
performance?
He's trying to
Who's
sell it.
buying a 30-foot
You'd be
wooden
surprised.
throw?
There's a large secondary market for band props.
Well, can we speed up the process?
I mean, Laughing was canceled 40 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, y'all took so many.
That was
of mine.
good.
I'm
That
almost
was
out,
good.
I'm almost out of them here. I don't even
That
know
was
what I
good.
got. I guess I'll just go with the consistent pinging from the baseball field, just a constant ping, 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 ping,
Yep.
and then the same 12 songs because the baseball team has like 12 songs on repeat.
They're edited and clean.
And they literally, it's
And
the same, and the
good
angle
music,
on your old
Dr.
speakers,
Orman.
they're like the smallest speakers on campus, but you hear them on every
but
field.
they're clean and edited, Dr. Orman.
So that's my sign of spring on campus. All right, well, we'll work on what you got, Whalen.
Can I add one thing before I leave?
What you got?
You guys may or may not know this, but Coach Graves is the golf champion over at Owl Creek.
Well, it goes without saying.
But they were so upset that he won, they changed the whole format just to get him out of the league.
It is golf
That's
season.
awesome.
They changed the you can't have your team set. You have to go play random people every week instead of having your own team.
How many shots did your team get? Like 400
He's
shots?
a 26
So-
handicap.
Jeez, don't tell people. I got 13 shots on a hole 9. On 9 holes. So I got...
It's embarrassing.
All you got to do is keep your ball in play and you beat somebody with that.
Thank you. Well, I don't know why we're shaming my golf game like this. They did.
Grown man taking 13 shots on it.
I was told to give a shout out to the Anchorage 6th grade kids. They love me. They're my
Big fans
they're
of you.
huge fans.
Huge fans.
Jackson Archibald, my son, Cannon Graves, both of them. Shout out to you.
Is that who you brought to the game the other night?
Yeah.
You had
I
like
brought like
35
6.
kids
You're
in the
welcome.
game. I look over, there's like 35 different
You're
Eastern
welcome.
baseball hats
They're
standing
huge.
up behind the student
They're
section
like
at the Cow game.
8 of our 130 views.
All right, so
you go.
they're big fans.
There you go.
Shout out to the fans. That's all we got today.
Future
Looking
Eagles.
forward to some spring sports and talking football and everything else. But thank you all for coming out.